3Rivers Archery, your longbow and recurve experts.
Today we're talking about carbon arrows and what you need to look at when you're considering your first set. So carbon has a lot of companies out there making it, which offers for a lot of variety, which is great for you as the archer. It gives you a lot of selection and options to it. But when you're comparing all these arrows, what should you be considering against them? Now, when you look at charts, there's a few things that come with it. One, the diameter, the grains per inch, GPI, the weight tolerances, the straightness. So there's a lot there to consider with them. But what's going to matter to you as the archer? So one, the look is, it's always going to be important. Whether you want a classical looking wood grain, you're okay with just the black shaft, the kind of standard of what carbon is. If you like particular colors like white, orange, camo, tons of variation out there. So that's up to you as personal choice of what look you like. Now, one of the two biggest factors to come to it is the diameter and styling to it. So what we have here are parallel shafts and we have tapered shafts. So that'd be your first choice there. Tapered are great. They're a little bit trickier to make, so they're usually going to cost a little bit more, but they put more mass up front for greater weight, so greater front of center, FOC, and then skinnier diameter back, which allows it to recover faster in flight, so really can tune in quite nicely. On parallel shafts, there's going to be different diameter. There's going to be large diameter, the standard 5/16, which is kind of the tried and true for carbon arrows. The most components and accessories that go with carbon are based off of the 5/16 diameter, but you see a lot of growth in the micro diameter. So like this traditional only bare bow, this is a 2.04 inside diameter micro diameter. And the advantage of these over the standard is you're taking the same weight and sizing to it, and you're putting it in a smaller package. So it's going to have less impact from wind in flight. So if you like longer shots than that, that's a great to make sure your arrow stays on target. And then with that same weight on a smaller diameter, you get better penetration. So for the bow hunter, it can be a big hit. Now with components, like I said, the 5/16 has the most variation of stuff, but there's tons of different manufacturers making different things, from different nocks, knock adapters, lighted nocks, weighted adapters for the back. There's brass inserts, standard aluminum inserts. There's reinforcement collars to really reinforce your carbon arrow, make it extra strong. Even more accessories when it comes to weight to fine tune it, whether that's a weight tube to go the full length, or even a 5-grain washer just for really getting that precision there. Broadhead adapters, so you can use tons of glue-on points and broadheads with it to really find that exact match that you need for you. So definitely allows you to really fine-tune that. Now, other things on carbons, you'll see, especially in a lot of the charts that are out there, straightness. So carbon arrows cannot bend, but they have set straightness when they're being made on the machines, and that's one thing they'll set. The standard can be usually anywhere, well, they range anywhere from 1,000 straightness to 6,000 straightness, and some even go beyond that. What's that matter to you as an archer? Now, if you're starting out, might not be a big deal. I mean, we're talking about how it rolls into the thousands here, so it can be very fine-tuned there. But as you get more comfortably shooting and you're looking to have more precise gear because you as an archer got your form matched, you want to have gear that matches your level of performance, that's where it really can come in. I bounce between the 6,000s and 3,000 straightness, but me as an instinctive archer, I find that that's a good balance to it. Now, if I was a competitive archer and I'm trying to shoot 40 yards of that and I need to be hitting it in a point like that, definitely something I'd consider with it, just to make sure that I know that my arrow is as straight and true as it can be. Now, weight tolerance, those can vary usually by just a couple grains up or down. Comes back to that precision on it, how precise you need your gear. Now, for me, it offers a lot of peace of mind knowing that when I make a dozen arrows, they match from set to set to set. And I like to spend time to make sure that everything is in a tight grouping and how they weigh in the end. And that's, something for you to consider with it. The GPI I find a little bit more important of how much that shaft weighs per inch. I like to shoot about 10 grains per pound of pull. Now, a lot that goes into that is all the components with it. So if you have a lighter carbon arrow, you can get that weight up using different components, but it's something to consider with it. Where if you can get a heavier GPI in just a shaft, you don't need to add more to it, which can be great in keeping it simple. But just something really to consider of when you're looking between two different shafts of what that means. Now always take that GPI times out the length of the arrow shaft. So if you're shooting an arrow, the shaft is 30 inches and there's only say a 0.5 inch difference to it, make sure you're taking that consideration between the two and then what other components you're going to use and how you can adjust that. But those are all the different parts to a carbon arrow for you to consider. If you have any questions, we are happy to answer them. Give us a call, send us a message, comment here if you have a question. We'll be happy to answer it. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you really like the video, please hit that share button to share with your friends and family. I'm Jonathan Karch with 3Rivers Archery. Thanks for watching.